Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Chrissy from ChrissyBooks, and in today's video I am doing my wrap up for January. I'm doing it a little bit early just because of the fact that there's a couple books that I have that need to go back to the library, so I wanted to do it now so I don't have to worry about doing it and being late. Even though my library doesn't charge late fees, I just personally do not like being late. Anyways, so let's get into it. Give you guys a heads up, I'm going to be looking down because I have my reading tracker in my book and it tells me what I rated it and everything like that. So I'm just letting you know in preparation for that. Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. This is about a girl who basically to heal the prisoners. There's an outbreak going on where the prisoners are getting sick and they're dying, and she is in charge of trying to figure out what's causing the sickness. I can't go into much detail due to this is a series, but I did want to let you know that I did finish it relatively quickly. I absolutely loved this book. I cannot wait to continue on with this particular series. This particular book, I actually gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I could not put it down. I just had to, it was intriguing from the beginning. I will say that in the beginning it was a little slow, but not as slow as it could be. So that was my first read. So for my second read, I do not have the actual book due to the fact that it was a ebook. So I am gonna put here the picture of the cover so that way you know what book I'm referring to. So I went ahead for my second book. I did the book Kin, and that was by Keelan Patrick Burke. I'm not gonna lie, I DNF'd this book. I literally wasn't even 40 pages in. I was just not vibing it. I wasn't really into a whole lot of the characters, and it just honestly was, I just was not meshing with it, so I DNF'd it. So that is that book. Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I absolutely loved this book. I mean, granted, it was kind of predictable towards the end, but at the same time, I love just reading some suspense, some spooky vibes. Absolutely love that kind of suspense in a book. I actually am going to be picking up more Riley Sager books to see if all the books are going to be like that as well. The third book of the month. Then after Home Before Dark, I read Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Now this is actually the graphic novel. This is not the actual book. So I don't know if the actual book I would have the same rating. I might go ahead and pick up the book to see if my rating is still the same. But I gave it a 2 stars. I was not meshing or getting connected to the characters And honestly, it seemed really slow for the plot to come together as to what's going on, and like to get to the actual sense. Basically, this first one is father of this boy passes away, and he discovers that there are these different people, children with abilities, and he just thinks that they are all made up. And basically, it's just his journey in discovering things. I don't want to go really into detail because I don't want to give it a spoiler. I do know it's part of a series. As of right now, I'm not going to be continuing with the series. Again, I might later on this year pick up the physical book to see if I have the same ratings, but as of right now, it's a 2, and just not continue with the series for right now. The Bird by Willow Rose, and it's gonna pop up right here. Due to it was an electronic book, I will say that it was definitely a short book. It is about a daughter finding a bird, and the mom not purposely injures the bird. Well, it's basically its process of healing. Things happen. I can't go into too much details. However, the fact that it's an injured bird, and then it pertains around the bird, so you kind of get where I'm going, but I don't want to spoil anything. It is a very short book. I think it's like 82 pages or something. And so basically the mom is afraid of birds, is terrified of birds, because when she was young, she had a bird attack her. So when the bird is in the house and gets injured, it's definitely not a good time for the mom. Perfectly understandable. Things happen with this bird. I actually gave it 3 stars. It was enjoyable, to be honest. Up for the bird, went ahead and read was Raising the Horseman by Serena Valentino. I gave it 4.5 stars. The only thing I did not like about it is there was actually a lot of grammar. Granted, it is a middle grade, so obviously I expect it. That's the only thing I had about it. Basically, Raising the Horseman is about ancestor of Katrina Van Helsing, with the stories of the Headless Horseman, Ichabod train era. And basically it's a retelling, and honestly I absolutely loved it. I loved everything about it, and I loved how the characters were. I loved how detailed the settings were, and the fact that you already know about the story and the atmosphere itself. It really brought even more depth into that settings and the storyline. I will say it did end to where there could be possible series, and I would totally be down for it, and I cannot wait to continue if it does continue with a series. But for right now, it is the only book, but I did give it a 4.5 stars. And I could not tell you what it was about without really spoiling the book. I will say it's basically, at least from what I gather, it's about a girl who's alone in the world, or she thinks that she's alone in the world, and she gets accepted into Catherine House. And a lot of the time it is basically a school for other kids as well. So they do studies just like a typical school. I can't really go further than that because I personally don't understand it. So I cannot wait to discuss this book on Sunday the 29th with Neva, Brittany, Kelsey, and Rainey, because I'm completely clueless with this book. But regardless, I will say I did give it a 3.5 stars, and for the most part it was enjoyable. It's just I am so confused, and the ending was like, what? So that was my take on Catherine House. And then honestly, that is the last book that I have finished. And as of right now, it is January 25th. So I went ahead and like I said, I'm filming this early because there are a lot of the books need to go back to the library. But I will let you know, I'm hoping to get this finished by January. If I do, I will insert a clip now.
I finished the guest list, and this is the last book on my January reads because I am not going to be reading anything else for the rest of January. And I did give it 4.5 stars. I absolutely loved it. So the guest list is very character driven. There really isn't a whole lot of plot to know about other than the setting is on a remote island. There's a wedding and someone dies. And that's not a spoiler because it flat out states on the back of the book, all have a secret, all have a motive, but only one is a murderer. Anything new that there is a murder. I personally liked it because it reminds me a lot of the cozy murder, like just an easy read. It was definitely something that I personally enjoyed. Yes, some of the characters, some I didn't like over others. However, I totally loved the guest list. There was a lot of like things that happened towards the end. I will say in the beginning it was definitely a slow build, but once you get to that middle, really fast, the ending and like everything being built up and everything like that is the last of my January wrap up. And I'm gonna go ahead and insert this clip to the rest of the wrap up. So yeah, so thanks.
That is my wrap up with the lovely books. So there's these books and then the lovely books. So there's these books and then up here I will include any digital books that I also completed. And so yeah. Well, you guys, thank you for coming in for my January wrap up. I am absolutely just loving the filming and doing all this booktube and things like that. So I cannot wait to give you more content. I'm hoping to definitely get better. But in the meantime, I do hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a good rest of your January. Or actually, no, wouldn't be good rest of your January because this is a January wrap up. So, okay. That is it for my January wrap up. Like I said, If I finish the guest list, I will insert a clip at the end of this video. If not, then that means I am still going to be reading it going into February. But other than that, you have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep on reading and see you guys later. Bye.